Welcome to Running Down the Clock, where we break down all of this week's big news, events, and controversies from the National Football League. Over the next 45 minutes, we will give you basic fan perspective and opinion on the most important stories and moments happening now. So, let's start the clock. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Running Down the Clock. I am Tyler Walzak. I'm here with Poya Ricey. Poya, we were just going over that last year when we forgot to press the record button and then talked for an hour and had to do another one at like 2 or 3 a.m. Do you remember that?
I remember that. And that was the best episode ever. We could never recreate it, but I will never forget to tell you to record again.
No, it's like that. No one will ever hear it either. It's like that Wu-Tang album. It's out there. It's.
Oh, the one that rich guy bought that everyone hates?
Yeah, I forget his name. That guy he had his good 15 minutes of fame, eh?
Yeah. What did he had some medication, right? That he jacked up the price.
Yeah, it was like medication for HIV or AIDS or something like that. And
right.
Then it was the only one and he jacked up the price for it. Something like that, I believe. Anyways, that's not what this is about. This is about football. And I know we usually talk about the NFL, but we brought up, I think last week or the week before, Colorado University, Shedeur Sanders, quarterback, playing Caleb Williams, quarterback for USC, coming up. Point that you made. It got a little less interesting this past weekend because their best player in Colorado, two-way player, wide receiver, and star defensive back Travis Hunter, hit pretty hard down the sideline, and man, pretty controversial. Did you see the hit?
I did. It was a late hit. It definitely was late. I don't know if it's the worst hit I've ever seen, though. I think it's just unfortunate he got hurt because of it. You know, it's a tough game, and the guys are playing hard. And what do you got? A lacerated liver out of it? Is that what Travis Hunter suffered? Yeah. So that's a pretty unusual injury. I'd like to think, I've never heard of that happening, or it doesn't happen frequently.
No, I mean,
from football hits.
It was a late hit.
It was late.
It was a late hit.
It wasn't the most egregious hit, though. Like, it was a clean hit. It was just late.
I think, and again, I don't know anything except for what led up to the game and then that moment of the game. Leading up to the game, the coach for Colorado State came out and said some stupid shit that got Colorado way more motivated than it ever needed to be, because they're always underdogs. So they're always going to play underdog roles. So you don't need to give them any more reason to come out and beat you. But I think the kid that hit Travis Hunter was just trying to make a statement for his team as well. Like, hey, we're also here. Like, I know there was all this stuff going on before the game, but we're trying to also amp ourselves up for this game.
It's a rivalry game.
Exactly. Yeah. Now the problem with is that kid is a nobody. And he hit one of the most exciting players in college after the fact, and then has now made everybody suffer for the next two games with Colorado, because they play Oregon, which is ranked this weekend, and then they play USC, which is like a top 5 team next weekend. And you want to see what they can do, how they stack up against those two teams, but they need their best players to do it. And now we've all kind of just been kind of like screwed over from seeing that happen.
Did you see Deion Sanders' comments about it?
Yeah, I mean, super classy, very classy. It was one of those things where what else is he supposed to say? Like and that kid is going through some shit right now, but it's just a matter of who he is versus who he hit. And I know he's trying to like get his team pumped up and amped up stuff. I'm sure he didn't mean to hurt him, but it just happened to be all those factors together. Right. It sucks for everybody.
Can I throw an NFL comparison in there? Obviously, you saw the hit on Nick Chubb.
Yes.
When you go low at a guy's knees, it is legal. It's a great way to get him down. But man, is it risky for a guy's health.
100%. But here's the problem with that. And I do like the segue. But you can't hit a guy above the shoulders anymore without hitting their helmet and getting a penalty. So it's almost like you, as a defensive player, you have to go low, because you're going to get called for a penalty or you're going to concuss somebody going high.
I guess
it's considered a dirty hit either way, unless you hit somebody like square with your head turned. And the
Travis Hunter hit, he caught him square. Like, I mean,
Oh yeah, he hit him right in the
Beside the
chest.
fact that it was late, it was a clean hit.
Yes,
It was just late after the play.
yeah, and he had to go around a couple guys to hit him.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, the Nick Chubb thing it sucks for everybody too because Nick Chubb's probably one of the only backs in the league right now that's like an every down, like bell cow carrier. Um, and that he was all Cleveland had running wise, and now they're gonna have to go look at like a Kareem Hunt again.
Yeah, they're talking about trading for Cam Akers or pick up Kareem Hunt. I worry like if you saw it and I think he's got a knee injury history from college or something.
Right.
I'm worried that looking at that injury, he might never be the same again. He might never be able to play the same way.
No, a lot of
If
it,
he
like
can
you
even like, there's
see,
a possibility he can never come back. You know,
I agree, and that sucks too. Like you see a
that's
lot of these
terrible.
injuries, ACLs and MCLs, where the knee is going forward and it just gets kind of popped straight back. This was a side. This was like there's the movie with Tom Cruise where he drives around in the taxi cab with Jamie
Collateral.
Foxx. Yeah, Collateral. Tom Cruise walks into the club and just absolutely stomps on the inside of some guy's knee and pops it out. Like that was like, yeah, that's just a movie reference. But yeah, going sideways like that's got to be tougher to come back from. But I'm not a doctor either.
No, I mean I wish him the best. He was a solid player, good guy, and watching those comments that all the running backs had at the beginning of the season and their concerns, and of
This
course
is
we've seen
exactly why, right?
a lot of them going down now.
And this is exactly why they want all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just all they want is they want a little bit more money and they want for a longer contract for guaranteed, so that because they are taking most of the risks and some of these plays, it's not great. But I mean, they also lost that game, and it's kind of their offense runs around whatever Nick Chubb does. They're based around that player. So Pittsburgh came out, got the W. We'll get to the fans later, but Matt Canada's job, the offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh Steelers, he has maybe 2 more games to prove himself, and then he could be out.
Yeah,
And
I heard the chance.
yeah, the chance after the fact of like fire Matt Canada after a win is pretty damning.
Yeah, well,
Pretty damning.
Deshaun Watson isn't there yet. You know,
No,
will he ever be the old Deshaun Watson? You and I both kind of expressed we don't think so. We don't
yeah,
think that you take off that kind of time and come back better.
no, but Matt Canada is the offense coordinator for the Steelers.
Right. But what I'm saying is they won that game because
Oh, you think because of
Cleveland couldn't
yeah?
get a lot going.
Well, I mean, they didn't. They lost their star player.
Yeah. But I thought what was it, Ford? He did a great job in his plays.
Yeah, he's not bad. I mean, and if it would be smart, it's kind of almost, I don't want to say poetic, but it is good for them and good for Kareem Hunt to maybe reconcile and have Kareem Hunt come back to the team that he was just on for 2 years. He knows the system, he knows the offense. Come back and he can fit right in.
Yeah, he
It,
comes back for less money or what? It was a money
well,
thing, right?
yep,
That was the whole issue, no?
it's a money
So
thing now,
now
but
is he
with him, it's not
getting
a
more
money.
money because they're more desperate or
He'll get more money because they're more desperate. But with Kareem Hunt, it wasn't a money thing. It was he wanted more carries. He wanted to be a run RB1 when they already knew that they had RB1 and Nick Chubb. So Kareem Hunt's like, well, I'm not going to get the money I should get for being an RB1. I'll go. He asked to be traded from the Browns last year, so it doesn't seem like he'd want to go back. But now the situation is a little bit better for him, and maybe he was waiting for a big injury to go to that team, and just so happened to be the team that he used to be on. So might be smart for the Browns to pick him up. He'd be a shorter learning curve. One of the other Monday night games, Bryce Young. Now, Panthers don't look great, but there's a stat with Bryce Young, and he's a young quarterback, and you can't always trust young quarterbacks. His first year, rookie quarterback. When he was pressured, he was 4 for 9 for 20 yards. No pressure, 18 for 24, 133 yards, and a touchdown. So a lot of people are shitting on Bryce Young and saying, oh, well, it's not a great pick, not a great pick. The offensive line needs to kind of like step up a little bit and help him out.
yeah, I hate to count out a guy who's 2 games into his career.
Yeah,
There's a learning curve, right?
of course. It's the hardest learning curve in sports might be being the quarterback on an offense.
On a bad team.
Yeah.
turning
Yeah.
around like not a great team, right?
Yeah.
Like we've discussed many times, the Brock Purdy situation, where not taking away anything from Brock, but he's got a little bit easier of a situation to go into where everybody's good. He just has to keep up.
100%.
Whereas, we've seen a lot of teams just kill quarterback after quarterback trying to resurrect an organization, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They only
So
came away with a 7-point win, though, the 49ers against the Rams. It's closer than I thought it was going to be.
are
Um,
we love the conspiracies on the show. Are you in on this conspiracy that they only kicked that field goal
oh, yeah. Let's
to
talk about
kill
this.
the bets?
Okay. So, if,
Just to beat the spread?
yeah, I'm sure most people listening know, but they might not, is the 49ers, the spread in the 49ers Rams game was 7.5 favor of the 49ers. Rams have the ball, the end of the game, 4 seconds left on the 20-yard line. They're down by 10. Whatever they do, they can't win this game. So they send in their kicker and make the field
Yeah, take
goal,
a field goal.
and they're only down by 7. They beat the spread. Now, why do you think that would happen?
The only logical thing, and this is the most likely thing, always go with the most likely answer, is within the division, the first tiebreaker is points differential or
So,
points
as a
for.
coach, you'd think you'd probably know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me read off some of the tiebreakers to win a division, and we'll go head to head. Sorry, with like two clubs tied to win the division. These are in order the tiebreakers. The first one's head to head. So whoever won head to head. The second one is best one loss tied percentage in games played within their division. The third is common games. So then you add the teams that they both played from like different divisions together. After that, it's games within the conference. Then it's strength of victory. Then it's strength of schedule. Then it's best combined ranking among conference teams in points scored. Then it's best ranking among all teams in points scored and points allowed. Then it comes down to best net points in common games. So the ninth tiebreaker is is point differential.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go for the touchdown at that point. The ninth tiebreaker.
Just
What
take
do
a
you care
knee.
about 3 points versus 7 points, 6 points?
Well, at that point, just take a knee. Like they were out there betting. They were 100% not. They didn't. I'm not saying, oh, whoa, they're not betting, but they are out there to beat the spread for betters.
Yeah.
That was a fuck you to anybody who bet against them to not cover the spread.
Yeah.
I
Now
like
you
it.
think
Spite
it
move, a
goes,
spite kick.
that's all fine and dandy. That's them just sticking it to people. The conspiracy theory is that they got a phone call from Vegas. I say that with air quotes, saying, "Hey, you just got to beat the spread," or the NFL's telling them you got to beat the spread. That's the conspiracy theory. The theory of they're just like they know what the spread is and they think, you know what, at least let's beat it. That's fine. That's just being competitive, finding your own little victory. But the fun in finding the conspiracy theory is that they got this anonymous phone call on the bat phone late in the fourth quarter. Some mysterious voice, probably, one of those like deep throat voices. I don't know what the word is. It's a voice modulator telling them, beat the spread.
That's it. Just 3 words: beat the spread or
They
kick
know what to do.
the field goal.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. I mean,
We haven't had any
I just
conspiracy theories yet this year. This is our
well, I mean,
first
it's
one.
week 2.
Well,
It's only week 2.
I try to get one a week.
What was last week's?
Well, I try. I don't think we had one last week.
All right. Well, each week we'll have to come up with a conspiracy theory. I think that's your new segment. We can call it the Puya's conspiracy theory of the week. I actually like that. That's great.
I love it.
That's
I'm
great.
all in. I'm all in on that.
All right. Let's make sure that let's stamp it down here. Write that down. Stamp it in. Next week we'll be back with Puya's conspiracy of the week. No conspiracy here is Barry Sanders is the best running back of all time to play the game of football. And this past Saturday, he was given a statue outside of Detroit finally. And that statue is fucking beautiful. Have you seen it?
I saw it. It's a good statue. Sometimes those statues come out and they're just kind of
Garbage.
a little too artistic.
Do you remember the statue that the Washington Commanders gave Sean Taylor last year?
Yeah, we discussed that. I don't think it qualifies as a statue. It was kind of a negative space mannequin with the wrong jersey and shoes.
Yeah.
It
I,
was not a statue. That was
no, it
terrible.
wasn't. This is a
That was
proper
terrible.
statue. And
This
if
is a statue, yeah.
I just say there's no better player in the city of Detroit to have a statue that's overdue for them than Barry Sanders. And I hope Calvin Johnson is on his way in the next 10 years.
Yeah. Now, there was a little bit of marketing because he's got a documentary coming out now.
November 21st, Amazon
Yeah.
Prime.
So he was saying in the documentary, he's finally going to reveal the reason why he walked away from the game.
Yeah. No, yeah. Bye bye Barry is what the documentary is called. Very much looking forward to it. The game itself, though, did not go so great. I mean, actually, let me take that back. The game was fantastic.
Well, what I was going to say about that is, don't we already know why he walked away?
I thought he walked away because he wanted to be able to walk for the rest of his life.
Yeah, I thought that was it. Like he kind of had a plan of he's going to play this long. And
yeah, he did. He said when he came in the NFL, I'm going to play 10 years. He played 10 years and he left.
Yeah.
No, I agree. That was, and it's common
so
knowledge.
Is this a little marketing ploy or is there something more to it?
It's got to be a marketing ploy at some point. Like, yeah. Hey, Barry, we'll give you some money if you let us do a documentary on why you left. Okay, great. But everybody in Detroit knows why he left. He said he was going to play 10 years when he was drafted. In his press conference, I'm going to play 10 years for the Detroit Lions and then I'm going to retire. And then he played 10 years and he retired. It's not that complicated. Made the Pro Bowl all 10 years. Every year he made the Pro Bowl in his 10-year career.
10 for 10.
Yeah, the game though was very exciting. The Lions lost, but the fact that they were able to come back from Jared Goff threw a pick with 4 minutes left in the game, put the Lions down 10, but they get the ball back, they go down, they score, they get the ball back, they kick a field goal. That you like to see as a Lions fan. We need to talk about these overtime rules again, though.
It always sucks when you didn't get a possession, an offensive possession in overtime.
1,000%.
It just
1,000%.
It sucks. I don't like that way of concluding the game. Now, I had a pitch.
Go.
The overtime rule is to make it quick, a quick settlement. You flip the coin, the winner chooses offense or defense. And that's it. You have either, if you take offense, you got to score. If you take defense, you just got to stop them from scoring. That's it. So you got to take your pick of which one you want. Now, what's easier?
Well, is it does a field goal win the game if you score?
That's anything. A score wins the game.
Okay. So if you choose to have the ball, you need at least a field goal or a touchdown to win the game. If you don't get the ball, all you have to do is stop them on fourth down.
Just stop them. A 3 and out and it's over.
So that's, you know what? I actually don't think that's a bad idea.
So what would you take? Like, knowing your team, would you rather take the offensive option or take the defensive option?
Well, if you're the Detroit Lions, you take offense. If you're the team like Dallas Cowboys, you probably go defense.
Yeah. So then the only flaw is then it still comes down to a coin toss to decide your fate. Because if you lose the toss, if you're an offensive heavy team, now you're still relying on defense.
You're not wrong. The coin toss is always going to decide it until you allow both teams to have the ball. Now, this is why I actually like the college system where you get the ball in the 35, whatever points you get or don't get, the other team gets the ball in the 35, and they can either win it if they get more points than what you got, or they lose it, or they tie. And then you just keep going back and forth until there's a difference in the score.
Yeah, it's odd to me because you look at a sport like baseball where one game is somewhat inconsequential just because there's 162 of them.
Yeah.
Whereas football, one game means so much. It's a 17th of your season.
Yeah.
The fact that they wouldn't give kind of a better opportunity to give both teams a fair shot at winning.
I agree. And then in the playoffs, you change it. I don't know why you would make that a rule for the playoffs and not for regular season.
Well, exactly. Because the regular season still means a lot, right? Like one game still means a lot. It's strange.
100%. I don't get it. I don't understand the logic about it. I mean, I wish we could talk to somebody who does know why it's like that, but we don't want to call in our favors this early.
I think they need to get the stadiums empty, clean up, and prepare for the next week. They just want it
because
over.
What if you're on the road? What if you're on the
road?
Over? Well, then do your system.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you remember how it used to be? Like
It
it
used to
just,
just be a field goal wins it.
yeah, you didn't even have a rebuttal.
Yeah.
That was it. Like it literally came down to the coin toss
It
most of the
is
time.
like they're just trying to, it's like they've rented it out and they're like, oh, hey,
We're out of
our
time.
time
It's
out of
got to
time. We
end.
got to
Got
go.
to end this now.
It's very odd. It's very strange, but it was a great game to watch. It was very exciting. I mean, we will be lucky if if these Lions and these Seattle Seahawks play each other every year. Man, that's going to be exciting. Hopefully next year it's in Seattle and we can go.
Now, does your girlfriend enjoy watching the Lions games?
She's okay.
Is she listening?
Yeah, she's not listening, but she will listen tomorrow. So don't think I hope nobody listening to this thinks I'm talking behind her back. She knows I'm going to talk shit on her this podcast because she's very much getting into the Lions. She went out and bought herself a Detroit Lions sweater. So she's getting into the Lions. I've warned her not to do so just because it's misery forever for the rest of your life. If you start becoming a fan of the Detroit Lions, you're going to be miserable. Now, we were watching this game. She fell asleep. She woke up. It was in overtime. Um, and mind you, we were camping. So we got back late. So we watched this taped. We were able to avoid the score and we watched it during the afternoon games. And she woke up in overtime. She didn't know who won. We watched the game, they lost. And then the Sunday night game came on. Again, she doesn't know pain with losing. She doesn't really care that much about them yet. So she doesn't know if we're supposed to be happy or sad or how upset we're supposed to be. And as a Lions fan, you're never upset when they lose because they lose all the fucking time. So we're watching Sunday Night Football, and she says, "Okay, well, can we change the channel now?" Like, what do you mean? There's that still we got 3 more quarters of football left here. And she goes, "Yeah, but we just watched the Lions game, and then you watched football all last Sunday." It's like, well, yeah, it's this is what
Last Sunday was
again
last
we haven't
Sunday.
gone through. We're kind of a new relationship. We haven't gone through a football season before, and we live together now. She said that to me, and I went wide eyed and said, "It's week 2. You've got There's 18 weeks in the regular season where all 3 of these TVs are going to be on football, and then we got playoffs, so you can get some like some there's not as many games in the playoffs, so you can get some time for yourself there. But we got Thursday games for the next 18 weeks. We got Sunday games for the next 18 weeks, and we got a game Monday for the next 18 weeks. And then on top of that, when December rolls around, we got games on Saturday. So you gotta get on board now, or you gotta find something to do on Sunday.
So I got 2 points to say. Number one, um, camping. You've never camped in your life. You don't know the first thing about camping. Isn't that her activity? Like the you going camping, doesn't that constitute like, hey, I went camping with you for the weekend? We got a Sunday of football now. Does
That's
that is that not an even?
Yeah, but that's how you should be thinking. You think
Yeah.
logically. You're not a girl.
No.
I'm just,
The
no offense
second
to
point I
women out
got
there. You're not the girl
is
I'm dating who doesn't seem
the
to
second point
believe
I
it.
got is it seems sometimes partners and relationships, they don't kind of, they don't take in the warning signs that you've given them. When you have
Yeah,
a 3 TV setup and they say, why do you have 3 TVs? Oh, so I can watch 3 football games at the same time.
yeah. They think you're
Okay. They
joking.
just think like there's, like maybe like once every 4 years, there's just like this perfect storm that there's 3 games on at the same time. And they think like, okay, well, this will happen once in a blue moon. It's unlikely. No, no, no. This is going to be a weekly thing. I don't think they
18
realize that
straight
this is a
weeks.
weekly thing for 17 straight weeks plus playoffs for
Yep,
the rest of my existence.
that is correct.
I don't
And
think they kind of put those 2 and 2 together.
I don't even really make her watch Saturday college football games. So
No.
like she actually doesn't realize how
You
good
haven't
she has it.
you haven't made her watch the Masters or golf yet.
We did watch something about golf the other day. Oh no, because summer's easier. No, yeah, no, summer's easier because she can go sit outside, or
Yeah.
I make it sound like I put her outside, but she can go outside with one of the TVs or something during golf. But like you're right. Those are warning signs and then when I tell you straight up, like, well, there's gonna be football for 18 straight weeks, and all these TVs are gonna be able to watch different games, so that we can be on board with our fantasy podcast. That's the only reason we watch all this football, or not fantasy podcast, our football podcast. Fantasy teams have a lot to do with it though. Um, but there's going to be this is a problem because just before we got on this podcast, her mom is coming to visit, not this week, not this weekend, but the next weekend, and they're going to the island. So her mom gets here Thursday afternoon, They go to the island Friday. I got to pick her up Sunday from the ferry at 5 o'clock. And I said, "Ooh, let's go to week 4 and see who's playing at 5 o'clock on Sunday." Little did I know that her mom's birthday is the night before she gets here, so we're going out for dinner Thursday night, and the Lions play the Packers Thursday night.
That's a big game. You can't miss. That's a
I
division
can't
one.
miss that game. I'm sorry.
No.
Kind of already told her like, hey, I might not be able to go, or maybe we put dinner to like 8:30, maybe. And she said, well, my mom's on the East Coast time, so she's gonna be tired her first night here. Yeah, so I guess I just won't be
What time
going.
did you grow up eating dinner at?
Just going 5 o'clock.
He is super white. I was 7:30. We were 7:30.
Super white. It
Yeah.
is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock was early.
I eat dinner now at 8:30, 9.
Yeah, I mean, like my schedule is just non-existent. Like I eat dinner sometimes at 1 in the morning. Like it's
Yeah. Well, we'll see how much of a Lions fan she is. If she just lets her mom go to dinner by herself and she sits here and watches the
I will
Lions
be
game with me.
surprised if she can survive a football season from the sounds of things.
All right, take it easy.
Here's the thing: she can't cope with being a football fan, let alone a Lions fan.
Oh, well, that's the thing.
You're starting her at level hard.
I know.
You got to start her off with like an easy win team, like a 49ers fan or something right now.
If she was a 49ers fan,
a lot to celebrate every week.
Yeah.
Nice and easy, flying through highlight reel after highlight reel.
No, she's got to be upset every Sunday watching football that she hates watching.
And Tyler, this is not fun. We keep losing. Why do we have to watch this every week?
I still don't know why I watch it every week.
Yeah. Oh, you're committed. You're invested.
Yeah, I'll be the happiest person when all this shit stops being shit.
All those people that went down with the Titanic, the musicians, they accepted their fate. They're going down with the ship.
Yeah.
That you're how many years invested into the Lions? You're going down with the ship.
Yeah, what'd that get them? Do you know any other names?
No.
Yeah. No. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the NFC, AFC, because before this season started, all the talk was about how much better the AFC was over the NFC. Right now, there are 7 teams in the NFC that are 2-0. The Cowboys, Niners, Eagles.
Can I throw a hot take out there for this?
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to get through these?
There's no difference between the NFC and AFC. Like it's an arbitrary thing. Like in baseball, they have the American League and the National League where there's a slight difference in rules. So there can be a slight variation. The NFC and AFC are the same thing. There's no difference. It's just the group of teams at this point are better arbitrarily. That can change throughout the season, week to week. There is no difference between the AFC and NFC. It's just an arbitrary categorization.
I agree with you. But everybody thought, all I'm saying is that everybody thought the AFC was going to be way better than the NFC. NFC, 7 teams that are 2-0, and they're 6-0 against the AFC. In games where the NFC teams have played an AFC team, they're 6-0.
Yeah.
But you're right, nothing matters until you get to the playoffs.
I'll tell you, there's a couple in there that are surprising.
Okay, well,
Commanders.
Let's riddle off the teams and you tell me what one you're most surprised by. Cowboys, Niners, Eagles, Commanders, Saints, Bucks, Falcons.
I think the Bucks, just because their quarterback has never gone 2-0 before. It was a big change for him. He's kind of moved around a lot lately. To see him kind of get settled in so quickly, I don't think people expected that. So I think the Bucks are kind of the biggest surprise of getting a good start the way they did.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Falcons. I would say Falcons and Bucks, but you know what I'm more surprised about than anything is that of these 7 teams, Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders are all in the same division. Saints, Bucks, Falcons are all in the same division. So 6 of those teams come from 2 divisions.
Yeah.
Which is, and not the 2 divisions you think it would be. Maybe the Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders, because 3 of the teams in that division went to the playoffs last year. Giants being one of them, who had a comeback win, or they came back from their week 1 disappointment and won in week 2. But the Saints, Bucks, Falcons, we thought would be the worst division in football again.
But that, I think the jury still, it's 2 games. It's 2 games in. They haven't been playing any good teams.
Okay, well, let's say this then. 2 games in, San Diego Chargers, Coach Staley, you hate him. He's 0-2, 2 games in. Are you going to write, or what are you going to say about him, even though it's only been 2 games
So
in?
this is my take on the Chargers. Either their coach needs to go because he just can't manage that team well, because they're perennially on paper talented to the heavens, or Herbert is not a high IQ elite level quarterback.
Okay.
One of those two things. I think it's got to be one of those two things. They got good players at all the other positions. I'm talking on a general every year basis for the past
Right.
few years. It's got to be one of those two.
But
Now,
doesn't the defense have to stop somebody? You're putting it all on Herbert, but defense isn't really playing great,
no,
right? Like the Chargers scored 24 points this game, and then the game before that, they scored, I got it here, 34 points.
right. But do you remember in the playoffs when they lost last year?
Yeah, they were up like 17 or 21 or something like
24
that.
or something.
Yeah.
But they stopped scoring too. So the defense didn't make stops, but they didn't keep putting up points either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So then that kind of shows it. I don't know. That's my take.
So who would you get rid of first, though? Would you get rid of first, like Herbert or Brandon Staley, the head coach?
I think that it
You
might
just
not even
paid
be the
Herbert.
head coach. It might not even be the head coach. It might be some of the coordinators.
It's a
I
brand
don't
new
know enough
offensive
about the
coordinator.
organization that way, but
It's a brand new offensive coordinator this year.
yeah, I think it's got to be a coaching change because I think it's going to be a lot harder to replace. Is their coach amazing? Does he have a history of being great?
The Brandon Staley, no.
No, but you're gonna
This
have
is his first team
you're
as
gonna
a
have a
head
tougher
coach.
time finding somebody, no matter where you rank Herbert. You're gonna have a tougher time finding somebody of that caliber wherever you rank him than you are finding a coach.
Okay, so I think that Brandon Staley very much is going to be in a hot seat if he doesn't win the next 2 games and it goes 0-4, don't you think?
Absolutely.
So do you think they play this weekend against the Vikings? Do you think they can win that game?
I think they definitely can win that game,
And then
but
they play,
that's a big win. That's a big game for both teams. Both 0-2.
yeah, yeah, they are. The Vikings have a lot to play for too. I just don't think their team's that great.
No,
But I think the Chargers win that game, and then they play the Raiders the week after that. Division game. It's in Los Angeles.
the Raiders always give them a tough time, but they can beat the Raiders.
So let's say they go 2-2. Can they save their season because they got a week 5 bye after that?
They
So
can
they can
definitely
deal
save
with
their
themselves.
season. Season's not over. I'm just saying they don't seem like they're going to be getting over any humps, right? They haven't won a playoff game in how many years now?
I don't know.
And to me, there's no signs that they're gonna be able to get over that hump to win a playoff game or to go deep in the playoffs, which their goal is. I don't think their goal is to win one playoff game.
No, their goal is to win at least. Their goal is to go to the Super Bowl, I would say.
Yeah, conference championship or better.
Yeah, because they're supposed to be that good
Yeah.
with this offense, with Herbert as the quarterback, and both they got a Bosa on the defense. Like they're supposed to be a good team. If they go 0-4, though, I'll tell you that I don't think he's there for the rest of the season.
Absolutely no.
He goes right. Yeah, I think they get rid of him. This is kind of the flaw when you hire. So I would probably say that their head coach had something to do with hiring the offensive coordinator, right? Kellen Moore.
Oh, I
Kellen
think
Moore
so.
2 years ago was up for head coaching jobs. So that it's not hard to say that the Chargers go 0-4. The owner of the Chargers or the president, the GM, whoever, fires Brandon Staley and just promotes Kellen Moore to that spot. Says you're in charge for the rest of the year. If you do well, you stay. If you don't do well, we go somewhere else. Because you're not going to bring somebody, an outsider in. Probably. I mean, I don't know. I was Jeff Saturday doing anything right now?
Antonio Gates. You call Antonio Gates and say, "Hey, listen, we're going to give you the coaching job. Show up tomorrow and coach the game."
I love that. I love that you went to Antonio Gates instead of Philip Rivers.
Well, you got to go to you got to go to a Hall of Fame guy. I don't know. Is Philip
Rivers not a Hall of Fame guy?
He is, but I mean,
Antonio Gates is not a Hall of Fame guy, is he? He's
sorry,
his first year eligible this year.
A team Hall of Fame, like team Hall of Fame.
Both those guys are.
The Colts didn't go to Peyton Manning; they went to Jeff Saturday.
Maybe they went to Peyton Manning first. You don't think they called Peyton Manning first?
I don't know.
They 1000% called Peyton Manning first. 1000%. There's no doubt in my mind. Peyton Manning they probably called him while he was doing the Manning cast with Eli. And he was like, hey, Mr. Owner. Sorry, Ballard, I think his name is. I don't know. But no, sorry, I'm trying to do a thing with Eli right now on Monday Night Football. Sorry, can
Oh,
I talk to you
Jim
later?
Irsay. Jim
Jim
Irsay is the owner.
Irsay. There you go.
That's the owner.
No, they 100% went to Peyton first.
I could see Eli. I could see Eli
100%.
volunteering over the air, like just over here. So I'll do it. I'll do it.
Let's move on to another coach in the same division, Sean Payton. You think he's 0-2? What do you think of Sean Payton? Like,
there's a statistic that no coach has ever won a Super Bowl with multiple teams. So if you follow that trend, his goal is to win a Super Bowl. They're not going to win a Super Bowl. So that's the
is
end.
That actually true? There's no
coach has ever won a Super Bowl with two different teams in the NFL. No head coach.
Who's the closest to like?
There's been guys who have.
Andy Reid went with the Eagles.
Yeah, he's won a Super Bowl with one team and gone to the Super Bowl with another team, but nobody has won with two teams.
Right.
They've won it as like a coordinator or something on one team, like Belichick's done it.
Yeah.
But as a head coach, it's never happened.
What do you think about these Denver Broncos with him under?
I think there's something missing there.
Is it a quarterback?
I never saw them as that good of a team.
Right.
Like they're kind of a little overhyped to me before the Russell Wilson thing.
Now, I didn't see the end of this game, but apparently there was a lot of controversy to it.
Oh,
like they scored a touchdown. They scored a Hail Mary touchdown and they went for 2.
Yeah, they just didn't get the 2-point conversion. That's all.
Oh, I thought there was something that happened on that 2-point conversion. That's the reason why they didn't get it.
I mean, you could have called maybe a little bit of a pass interference, but it's so minimal. I mean, it's one of those things like, the holding could be called on any play.
Right.
It wasn't that controversial. No? It wasn't the Saints against the Rams. Like, it wasn't like that.
Yeah, that was a bad one. That was the one that changed.
No, it was nothing like that. It was, to be fair, it was a miracle that they were even in it at that position because they gave up the lead. They had the lead 18. And they gave it up. When you're trying to get back into the game on a Hail Mary that got tipped 4 times, you're already grasping at straws. You're already, playing in a hole.
Yeah, you can't let the Commanders come back into that game when you're up 18, especially when you're a new head coach and you're trying to change the culture around that team. Like, you have to have guys buy into not allowing that comeback to happen from 18 points down.
Well, exactly. It's it was a lucky Hail Mary that he even got the touchdown to put him in a position to go for 2 anyway.
Yeah.
And they just didn't get the 2-point conversion. That's all.
Yeah. Well, I don't care for the Broncos. I got to say, like, there was a time when I thought they were pretty cool. I don't care for them at all. I don't like Russell Wilson. I did like Sean Payton with the Saints, but I just don't like Russell Wilson, I think.
No, I think he's kind of he's cringy. He's like, even his Subway commercials, everything. He's just cringy. Like, there's no positive things to say about the guy right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, to be fair, when he was in Seattle, there were still stories that every week he'd still go to the Children's Hospital.
He was well liked in Seattle. He was very well liked in Seattle.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to say he's a bad person, but
he just might have turned into a shitty person.
Maybe just like unlikable in the locker room. I don't know. Maybe. But from a fan perspective, he's not really liked.
No, he's not. He's very much taken a turn around the league. Yeah. Let's stay in the division for another player that I don't think is liked by anybody. His fantasy owners, his old teammates, his old fans, definitely not for sure. Kadarius Toney for the Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs went back to him early in game.
Did you see this game?
I did not, no.
So, yeah, I watched bits and pieces of it. And I don't know what this says about a team that they went back to him. They were using him a lot early.
Now, don't you think that's trying to bolster his confidence up and get him back to the player they think that he might be?
Well, again, they're riding on potential because he never really panned out for the Giants. He came to the Super Bowl winning Chiefs.
Yep.
And he didn't have a bad season. I don't think
midway
he was
through the season, right?
Impact guy. Like he had some good plays, but he was just kind of standard run of the mill, I'd say. No.
he's always been the high potential guy, but he's never panned out.
Yeah,
He's a guy that they when he was drafted, everybody said he was going to be the next Tyreek Hill.
yeah. So they went to him early a lot, and he still got a fumble in that game. Now he did recover it, but it was for a loss.
Yep. They're still having problems. Like the wide receivers are having problems with their fumbling. They fumbled 3 times for 2 losses.
Yeah.
Um, they drop passes and they're killing the Chiefs offense.
I mean, if he was a kicker, he'd be gone by now. He'd probably never played in the league again. Losing you a game and then just making another mistake the next game.
Yeah, no, he's got it. But like, why is anyone at this point? Why does anyone think he's going to change into the player that they want him to be?
I don't know. It's a sports psychology thing now because like you have the ability, it just gets in your head. Those kind of little mental errors
Right.
that
Now,
just becomes, and some people can't climb out of that.
do you think any
That's
of
the mental toughness of like the people who can get out of their slumps and the people who can't.
do you think any of this comes from changing
But
the
my whole point
preseason?
about this was, what does that say about the organization? Because a lot of organizations give up on a guy, and it's not working. Sorry, we're moving on with somebody else.
I mean,
And
he's
this
still
is
a
a
young
successful
guy.
organization
Yeah,
that they seem like so far they're sticking with him.
I think that's because they got him last year for probably picks midway through the season, I believe. Won a Super Bowl with them, so they know probably what they see in practice. They know that maybe he's well liked in the locker room amongst his teammates. Um, so maybe they want to be like, hey, let's just at least make sure we get our money's worth out of this guy. If he doesn't produce, let's say by week 8, then maybe we just cut him loose.
Yeah,
We bench him. We put him as the kick returner. Like at
he
some point,
cost
they're
them
going
like
to.
he individually cost them a game.
The first game was literally he was playing for the Lions.
Yeah, he cost them a game. How many
Yeah.
games can you allow a guy to lose you in a position where he shouldn't be losing you the game?
Yeah.
You
Well, I
know,
mean, luckily, not luckily, but they still won, even though they're going through this problem of finding wide receivers that they can trust. It seems like MVS, Valdez Scantley, is their best receiver right now.
Yeah.
Which he wasn't the best receiver in Green Bay ever.
Well, I'll correct you. It's probably still Travis Kelce, but let's.
True, he's a tight
let's
end.
move on.
He's a tight end. He's a
Yeah.
tight end. We're talking wide receivers here. Just throw the ball to Kelce. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. Now, what I was going to say was, do you think any of this boils down to like preseason? Because you're not allowed to, like, a lot of players don't play in the preseason games anymore. You're not allowed to have a certain amount of practices where pads are on and you're hitting. You can't really do 2-a-days anymore. And you're restricted to the amount of time you have with the players based off of all of this stuff. Doesn't that, because the teams used to be sharper, like even offenses now seem like they're not really in tune with what's going on. They all kind of still trying to get to know each other. Doesn't taking eventually they started doing this because they wanted everyone to be safer and healthier and have a longer lasting season health wise, but it's very much affecting the product on the field in the first 3 weeks of the season.
And this is anecdotal, but I also feel injuries are up.
And injuries are up too, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So I think this is one of those things where it sucks, but you kind of got to get like you protect people too much. They kind of fall out of the rhythm of the contact.
Yep.
It is a contact sport. You can only keep somebody in a shell in a bubble for so long. Injuries will eventually happen. They are unfortunate.
And it's a
Yeah,
high
I
risk
don't know if like
high risk injury game.
the longer you hold them out and like the team, part of the team plays in preseason, part of the team doesn't. Everybody's gonna kind of be a different level of rust from the offseason.
It
So it
used to
takes a
be
few
like
games for them all to kind of catch up and get in sequence.
it used to be a lot of players, high profile players, your Peyton Mannings, your Drew Breeses, your Tom Brady's. They would play two 2 quarters, 3 quarters of preseason games, and just kind of like eventually the first game they probably maybe play a quarter, and then they play 2, and then they play 3 throughout the 4 games that they used to have in preseasons. Now they don't play any. High profile players really they play one quarter, like maybe one drive, and then they're out for the rest of the game.
So I'm going to use basketball as a reference, as a comparative. What we've noticed in basketball, a lot of people are criticizing is that more players are resting, but injuries are up.
Yeah. And they just made a rule about that too.
Yeah.
Dumb
I,
rule.
I
It's not
think
going
the
to work,
rule
but
though has more to do with
fans.
kind of preserving the like the dignity of the game. Like why are we, like why are superstars resting all the time, right?
Yeah,
Like I don't know if it has so much to do about player safety as so much of like, listen, we do have a business product that we're trying to put out there. We need players to play. We can't have players not playing.
100%. Speaking of a player who didn't play a
Great
lot this
joke I
past
saw.
weekend.
Sorry, I gotta say,
Go.
Kawhi Leonard was at that Colorado State game.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so there's a lot of like high profile celebrities there, sports
Yeah.
stars and stuff there. One of the jokes was like, "Fuck, Kawhi came to this game. He doesn't even go to Clippers games."
That's a great joke. That's pretty funny. Okay, go back to football. A guy who didn't get a lot of play this past weekend. He was in the game just to get a lot of touches. Brees Hall, and fans are asking for him to get the ball a lot more. But he is coming off of a pretty severe ACL injury. He had a great game the first night against not the Packers, the Bills. But he only had 4 rushes for 9 yards this past game. Like, is this a product of their offense being bad with Zach Wilson? Or is this a product of the Cowboys defense being great? Or is this a product of
So
them trying?
he,
What is
you
this a
did you
product
hear
of?
him? Did you hear him in the interview?
What do you say?
He was criticizing, I guess, the team for him not getting enough carries, and he said, I quote, "We abandoned the run game." Now, does that have to do with trying to develop Zach Wilson more, get him kind of comfortable making passes, kind of get him a little more experience in a game you've kind of accepted you're going to lose? Or is that just the team is kind of falling apart on the offense a little bit? Like they don't have the quarterback. Let's be honest. I don't think anybody outside of maybe Zach Wilson himself has faith in Zach Wilson. And I don't even know if he's got faith in himself.
No, he doesn't.
No. So is that kind of just a telltale sign of that the offense is kind of imploding and they're starting to slowly hit the panic button more and more each week of kind of losing the strength that they had, right? Like they have good running backs. Why
They got
wouldn't they
two of them.
utilize why
They
wouldn't
got
they
two of them.
utilize the run better?
And they only gave Brees Hall 4 rushes, and they gave Dalvin Cook 4 rushes only as well. The only player that's actually doing anything on this offense is Garrett Wilson, the receiver, 83 yards and a touchdown. He only got 2 receptions though.
Yeah,
It's
one of
just
them was just a monster run.
yeah, one of them was 68 yards long. He had 8 targets, 2 receptions. Like when you break that down, it's not great, especially when one of those passes went for 68 yards. Um, like
So
so what happens
I
here
think
then?
it's
Like
one of those
let's
situations where it was all happy times. Like it was just, green grass, blue skies. They got a Hall of Fame quarterback. They have kind of good guys in every position. The script was set. Everything was ready for a great season. And then they didn't account for the fact that, okay, well, we don't have a quarterback anymore. What are we going to do now? And I feel like they don't really have a backup plan on how this is going to go because they don't have faith in Zach Wilson carrying on from last year to win.
and
And
they tried to give
yeah,
him as much pep talk and like
sure,
bump
but
him
I
up
mean,
after the
I just
last
don't
game.
think he's developed that far along enough. Like from last season to this season, not enough has changed for him to be a better player. Simply for the fact of nothing has been done. He hasn't had a chance.
So what do
Nobody's
they
just
do?
going to magically be a better player like that.
So what do they do?
They need to get a quarterback that they have faith in because I don't think they have faith in him. And when there's no collective belief, it's not going to work out. If you
Okay, so
doubt
let's
yourself already, you've already lost.
let's let's think about who they can go get because I mean I'm looking at the teams that are 0-2 right now that look like they're going to be bad, and the only team I can think of that maybe wants to rebuild at this point if they lose 2 or 3 more games early in the season is the Minnesota Vikings and Kirk Cousins. Like maybe the Jets could go out and rent him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would that be better? That'd be an upgrade from Zach Wilson, no?
So this is the way I'm kind of trying to say this is there's the skill level upgrade, but then there's also just the locker room, the vibe upgrade where I don't think people believe in Zach Wilson.
I
And
agree with
that
that.
is going to hinder the team as a whole.
Right?
So getting somebody else, at least it kind of clears the air of like, okay, well, this guy could work. even if he's not the most skilled player, there's like a cloud of negativity with Zach Wilson right now.
Yeah. Now, the only other team I'm looking at, like that's 0-2. The Texans aren't going to get, they don't have a quarterback to give up at 0-2. Like maybe Davis Mills goes there, but he's also, no one really believes in him. Chargers 0-2. Herbert, he's not going anywhere. Russell Wilson 0-2. He's not going anywhere. Not with that contract and what they gave up for him. Patriots, Mac Jones 0-2. If they give up on Mac Jones, it's the same division though. Would you trade a quarterback into the same division?
I do not think Bill Belichick will help a
The
team in his
Jets,
division.
specifically the Jets.
Yeah. I don't think he'd give them a water boy as the quarterback.
Well, if the Bears give up on Justin Fields, which I don't know if they will until later on this season, maybe he can go to the Jets. But then is he an upgrade to Zach Wilson? Like they're both kind of the same player, as in terms of like their high draft picks that aren't panning out.
Yeah, but there's a difference. The Chicago Bears have been a terrible team all around. The Jets are one piece away right
But
now.
Justin Fields is not that piece.
Sure, but he just needs to be better
Than Zach Wilson.
That's it.
But man, I've been watching some of those passes that Justin Fields has been throwing. Like he can't read a defense at all. He's got guys wide open all over the field, and he's not even paying attention to them.
Yeah.
But you have
What
to
about
think
Mitch
that
Trubisky? He's probably available. Where's he? Pittsburgh.
nobody wants Mitch. Nobody wants Mitch Trubisky. I think Kirk Cousins would be the perfect rental player for the Jets.
Absolutely.
Now,
what do they have to give up to get him? Picks?
5th round pick, 6th round pick, maybe. It's not like Kirk Cousins is getting a 1 or a 2, maybe a 4. I would say maybe a 4. We could ask the fans, but I feel like they're all crying from being harassed by the Eagles fans in Philly. Did you see that?
I did see that video, yeah. So it's a one-off video, and again, nobody really assaulted them.
No,
they're just kind of being assholes. That's
being
it.
Assholes, yeah. It's literally a concession line of you have to walk through a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, it comes off very lowbrow, but again, nobody threw a ball at him. Nobody threw a drink at him. Like nobody actually did anything to harm them.
But like, so as a fan, when you go to a game and you're on the visiting team, isn't it more fun to go if you can banter with these people instead of just getting fingers thrown in your face?
Yeah, so I think Philly has a reputation of being
there's no think
fans.
There's no think about it. They are the worst fans.
Yeah. Now there was an odd one that I didn't realize, but maybe it's a known thing. The fans in Pittsburgh were very classy when Nick Chubb got hurt.
Especially because
did you see what happened?
Yeah, Cleveland is like one of their biggest rivals, if not their biggest rival. And Nick Chubb gets hurt. They show it. They didn't show it on TV, the replay. They showed it in the stadium, and you heard all of the Pittsburgh fans go, or oh. So and then
they applauded him off the field. They chanted his name in a respectful way, not like a taunting way.
Yeah, they didn't. They were very extremely respectful. But that's what you want. Like that's what your fan base. That's a good fan base because nobody on Pittsburgh wants none of the players on Pittsburgh want Chubb to get hurt either. So for him to get hurt in that way, and it looked bad, they all saw that it looked bad, and the internet posted it for all of us to see. But yeah, that's the way fans should react. I get that the Eagles fans want to support their Eagles, but why not sit down with a Vikings fan at that game and kind of just be like, "Hey, next touchdown. If the Vikings get the next touchdown, I'll buy a beer. If the Eagles the next touchdown, you buy the next beers." And just make it fun. It really is just a game. Enjoy the game.
Yeah. So my city, where I'm from, where I grew up, we only have one professional sports team left, really. That's kind of in a higher league. And we're known for rioting. So I can't really talk too much shit about other teams.
Yeah, but you were probably nice to the other fans, though, that were there. You let them get out of the city before you rioted. I would like to think.
The riot wasn't even about the sports. The riot was just about the riot. The first riot was kind of about the sports. The second riot was just, historically, we like to riot. That's what it was.
100%. Now, Tyreek Hill, the Dolphins, when they played the Patriots this weekend, said the fans were trash. When you are a fan, there are genuine unwritten rules when you go into these stadiums. You're allowed to yell at players. Sure. All of us have yelled at players. What you say and what you do, though, the things you say are different, and certain things you do. You can't throw beers at players. You can't throw anything at players. You can't push players. You can't hold back players. You can't touch any of the players unless you're like celebrating, really. So like where is this line? Because it's getting worse every year in every sport,
So there's the obvious ones of like racial slurs,
right?
but
Of
the
course.
one like even about that is you make a racial slur to a player, there's likely somebody in the crowd near you of the same race that you're making fun of a player anyway, right? Like,
Yeah.
so somebody else might just punch you in the face anyway.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an obvious off limits one. I think some of like the family stuff is off limits. You know, people
Yeah.
will take offense, but
Death threats
there,
to families and
yeah.
yourself.
But there's also like personal stuff now. How many people are going to frown on an away team taunting Deshaun Watson with massage jokes and things like that? I don't think a lot of people are going to like kind of look down on it too much, right?
No.
A lot
No,
of
I mean,
players who have like some sort of like criminal incident, do they get a pass if you're kind of like, you
well,
know,
that's the line,
harassing them about
right?
a personal thing? Are
Like
you crossing the line?
there's no way that we should let Deshaun Watson forget about the shit that he did. So, and the moment he made those decisions and got caught for doing them, like it kind of carte blanche to say that shit to him at the game.
Well, that's my point. Like, I mean, you bought your ticket, you can kind of, I feel like you can harass the players
Let's not say
in,
the word harass, but you can
well,
get at, you can
in
try to
that
get
sort
under
of
their
way, you know,
skin.
like,
You just
yeah,
can't, like, you can make it personal, but there's a point where personal becomes like now you're talking about the race of them, or you're talking about like, um,
you know, their kids or their
family
wife or things
issues.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that stuff, health stuff. But like same with like let's say I love Mike Vick. Like Michael Vick, I loved him as a player. But if he's an opposing player on the team that I'm a fan of, I might just like bark like a dog when he's got the ball. Like it just
Yeah.
there's certain things you can and cannot do.
But
But there's a line.
okay,
It's
well,
getting
like
worse
you were
because
saying,
people are just
injuries.
jumping.
Can you not call out, like, you know, if somebody's known for having a bad ankle or a bad knee or something, you
You
can't tease
can
them about that?
you can tease them about it if it doesn't happen in the game. Like
Yo, I mean,
Nick Chubb getting
there's
up.
low class if someone's being carted off
Yeah. Like if a
and you know
guy's
you're
got
harassing them then. No, I'm
if a
talking about like the guys just on the sidelines and they're within earshot and you're kind of heckling them, you know, like letting them know this is an away game. I'm always for that, letting them know they're in an
that's the
away game.
home field advantage.
Yeah. Now, yeah, throwing stuff at them,
No, I
you know,
can't do that stuff.
there is definitely a line of things you would not say.
Yeah.
And I think you just have to kind of use your judgment.
Oh, people have bad judgment. That's the thing.
They have terrible judgment.
Most
That's why we
people
have
have bad
laws.
judgment.
The only reason why we have laws is because people have bad judgment.
Agreed. Do you want to talk about the games coming up, or do you want to go? So last week, your picks: Eagles, Chargers, Niners, Giants. You were 3-4. I was 1-3 with my Texas Chargers, Dolphins picks.
You took gambles. So I think we had very different
I'm a gambler.
outlooks. We had very different outlooks on.
We did. I've taken that into heart.
Yeah. Like I was going for the locks, like the most likely win scenarios. You were just trying to get some money or something. I don't know.
I want the bettors to know what I think their bets should be.
Yeah, but you didn't even have great odds.
No, I was, but you just when you that's how you win the most. That's how you win the most money.
Yeah.
It's called gambling.
You got 3 picks for this week?
I do have 3 picks for this week. Do you want me to go first?
Sure, go for it.
I got the Chargers on the road in Minnesota. There is no line in this game because they cannot decide who deserves to win. But I'm going to go with the Chargers on the road. I know I picked them on the road last time, but this time they're actually going to win on the road against a shit quarterback in Kirk Cousins.
So does the losing quarterback back have to go to the Jets? Is that the thing?
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
He does. If I was the Jets, I would be out there talking to Kirk Cousins in Minnesota every day.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going that far with him.
No, that's what I mean. Is like they have to rebuild. They know what he's after this year. They can cut him and save a ton of money on their salary. So just let him go now.
Yeah.
All right. Who you got? What's your first pick?
I got Philly, who's
Philly?
-5 in Tampa.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's
These are 2 undefeated teams. These are
yeah.
both teams 2-0.
Well, that's a risk, isn't it? That's more of a risk from your
I think
picks
it's a
last
risk,
week.
but This is also like if Tampa wins this, Baker Mayfield is for real.
Oh yeah, this is a huge statement game for Tampa. A
Yeah.
huge statement game in Tampa. And like we never thought they'd be able to win this game, but they're 2-0. Like they in that locker room, they have no reason to believe they can't win this game.
No.
My next pick would be Dolphins. They're 6.5-point favorites. See how I'm trying to get away from trying to get bigger spreads for you, just because that's what you wanted from me last time. Dolphins 6.5 favorites at home versus the Denver Broncos. This is a division rivalry game, but the Broncos still haven't shown me that they can get it done. Russell Wilson has not shown me that he can get it done.
Since we both share notes, why don't you just make the last pick? Because both our last two picks are the same. I can already see that. So,
oh yeah, look at that. You just wrote Miami. I wrote Dolphins. Yeah, we have both of the same last picks. This is not exciting for our listeners at all. We both picked the Dolphins at 6.5-point favorites versus the Denver Broncos. Why did you choose this pick? Like, I don't believe in Russell Wilson. What made you? Is it just that faith in Miami being that like the best team in the league right now?
yeah, I've been on this like Denver is not a good team bandwagon for 2 years.
They're not a good team.
No,
They're not a good team.
I have no faith in Denver.
And then our lock, if you're in like a survival pool or a suicide pool, whatever you call it, I mean, you might not want to use the Kansas City Chiefs this early, or you already have used them this early against the Lions in week 1 and you're out, but they're not going to disappoint you. Again, they are at home, 12.5-point favorites against the very, 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 very shitty Chicago Bears.
That's as close to a gimme as you'll get in this league.
That is 100% as close to a game. With Travis Kelce out there and Chris Jones back to just run terror over Justin Fields, Chiefs win this game.
Now, I noticed we have different games of the week. What's your game of the week here?
Lions, Falcons, man. Like,
explain.
The Lions, like the Falcons are 2-0. They might be real. And the Lions are 1-1. They should be 2-0. It should be a Lions 2-0 versus Falcons 0-2, and this game shouldn't mean anything. But it has all of a sudden gotten very, very interesting Sunday morning at 10 a.m. But also, I'm a homer, so what am I supposed to say? Who you got?
So there's the one guy. I got two games. There's the one game we already discussed, Chargers Vikings. I think that's a big game for two teams who are both kind of expecting to be doing better than they are right now.
Yeah.
And then I got another two teams that are one of them's 1-1, one of them's 1-1, one of them's 0-2. Is New England and New York Jets. That's a bit of a rivalry game. That's a divisional game.
Yeah.
And they're both kind of in a pivotal position right now. The Patriots need to get their first win of the season, and the Jets need to figure out their identity for the year. Are they going to just suffer with Zach Wilson, or do they need to make a move?
Do you think it's going to be a good game, though, like a watchable game?
I think it could go one of two ways. Mac Jones could kind of ignite the offense in New England. New England usually finds a way to make no-name players play better in New England than they do anywhere else.
Right.
And the Jets have exciting players on defense and offense.
The Jets have one of the better defenses in the league, yeah.
Yeah, which got smoked by Dallas. So what does that say about their defense?
Did they get smoked? Yeah, it was 30 points. But did
they were not in that game.
Well, when
they couldn't stop Dallas.
That's what I mean. But also, there's a lot of field goals here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like the second half, it was all field goals. So, I mean, that's actually not that bad. And then they only got 2 touchdowns, 2 offensive touchdowns. The Cowboys did. So the defense held everybody to field goals. Like, I don't know. I think that defense is still good. That game was.
They are good. I
Jets,
don't get
Cowboys
me wrong. I think Sauce Gardner is
exciting.
No, I think he's getting an interception this week.
All right, I like that.
Take that bet.
I like that. Yeah, Mac Jones interception to the house or just an interception?
Just an interception.
Boo! I'm gonna say he takes it to the house.
Okay, pick 6 it.
Pick 6, and we'll end this episode on that. Thank you everybody for listening. We will be back next week on Running Down the Clock.
Hey, if you're a fan of Formula One, then I've got the perfect podcast for you. The Pit Stop Podcast, presented by the Ordinary Podcasting Network. After every single race of the Formula One schedule, Jordan and Tyler will break it down, give you some news, analysis, insight, before answering your questions and setting you up for the next race. That's the Pit Stop Podcast, available everywhere you get your podcasts.
Running Down the Clock is brought to you by the Ordinary Podcast Network and is every Thursday running until the week after the Super Bowl. We hope you enjoyed enough to subscribe and tune in again next week.